Hi everyone and welcome to this Fan Art Friday video. In this video I'm working on a drawing of KANEKI and RIZE from Tokyo Ghoul. I've been really excited about working on this one because I'm a big fan of Tokyo Ghoul and just always happy to work on fan art. When it comes down to the layout of the drawing, I wanted a front-facing view of KANEKI, and then for RIZE I wanted a side portrait with her hair kind of flowing across and taking up a large area of the drawing to show that kind of influence she has. And then also to add more to the symbolism, I wanted to add some red spider lilies into the scene as well. Also just wanted to try drawing them because they look amazing. Then once the sketch was completed, I wanted to add the pen outlines, and for this I used a Copic Multiliner SP 0.03mm. And this is where I realised that I had sketched a lot and that this drawing was extra large. It was going to take a long time, but I was just nevertheless extremely excited about working on it because I'm a big fan of Tokyo Ghoul and I've been wanting to attempt this for a while. So it took a long time for the outlines, but I like spending the extra time with this fine pen because it allows me to have that extra control over the line weight, just making sure the lines are as smooth as possible. I've been enjoying recently just spending that extra bit of time on the outlines, and I feel like it does help the end result. And in fact, the only area where I decided to add some scratchier outlines was in their hair, to try and create a bit more of a hair texture with the outlines. Once I was happy with the outlines, it was time to move on to the colouring, and for the colouring of this drawing I used Copic Markers, starting off with KANEKI's skin tones. I wanted to keep them pale, and I started with the base layer of colour with pinkish white, and then added some warmer tones over the top of that with pale heath. To add shading to the skin tones, I then also added pale grape and light grape, along with cool grey 3 and 5, adding shading around his eye and to the underside of where the hair is overlapping his face as well. For his eye, I added shading with cool grey 3, 5 and 7, and then for the red colouring I used a crimson marker. To add highlights around the eye, I used a white Prismacolor pencil and my Uni-Ball Signo Broad white ink pen to add highlights around the outside of the eye and to add those really bright, opaque highlights at the centre of the eye. And then I also used a crimson Prismacolor pencil to add some veins in the eye and to add some bright colouring outside of it. For his mask, I added layers of shading with cool grey 3, 5 and 7, and then added some extra dark shading along the left side with a black Copic marker. To add some extra highlights along the right side, to contrast that dark shading, I used my Uni-Ball highlighter pen. And also, so that I didn't lose the details amongst all of the dark shading, I made sure to highlight some of the edges with a white Prismacolor pencil. For the mouth on his mask, I added the red colouring with a mixture of crimson and cardinal, and then to add the light shading to his teeth I used a mixture of cool grey 3 and 5. And then to define the shape of the gums and teeth, to add some dark shading to actually start showing some shape and some depth in that area, I used a cool grey 7. Then, as a way of changing the texture of this area, I added lots of highlights along the gums, as a way of making them look shiny. Moving on from that, to build up the layers of shading in his hair, I started with cool grey 1, and then added the next layer of shading with cool grey 3, and then added extra dark shading to the left edge of some of the locks of hair with cool grey 5. After this, it was time to start adding the colouring to RIZE. So I started with her skin tones, trying to use the same techniques as I did for KANEKI, but trying to keep them a little bit warmer, using more of the pale heath and not adding too much grey tones, and kind of relying more on the pale grape to add shading. For her lips, I added a base layer of colour with pale heath and blush, and then to add some extra bright colouring to the lips I used a mixture of light pink and tender pink. It was tender pink that really helped to bring out a lot of colour in this area. After that, to add highlights to her lips and to make them look shiny, I used the Uni-Ball highlighter pen. I used the same technique to colour her eye with the cool grey and the crimson markers, the Uni-Ball highlighter pen, the white Prismacolor pencil and the crimson Prismacolor pencil. Then to add colouring to her glasses I used the cardinal marker and added some highlights along the top edge. And to add some blood dripping from her mouth I used a mixture of crimson and cardinal. For the next stage of colouring, this being the largest area of colouring in the drawing, this was RIZE's hair. So I started with a base layer of colour with mallow, building up the layers and adding some streaks into the hair to start building up the texture straight away. Then over the top of that I added amethyst, this being a darker colour, so I added darker streaks of colouring into the hair with this, leaving some highlighted areas to show the mallow colouring through. Then over the top of that I also used a violet Prismacolor pencil to add some darker streaks of colouring into the hair, trying to create a finer texture to the hair as well, just trying to bring out more details than I could with the markers. After this I added some highlights into the hair with the Uni-Ball highlighter pen, adding anime style highlights along the top, and then also adding streaks of highlighting just to add some more detail with this pen. Once the hair was completed, I then used the crimson and cardinal markers to add the colouring to the blood lilies, and actually also used a crimson Prismacolor pencil to add some extra details. And then it was time for the final stages of this drawing. I used the crimson marker to add a bright background, and I used a magenta Prismacolor pencil to add some outlining around both characters. And then as a final touch, I used the Uni-Ball highlighter pen to add some outlining to kind of separate the layers. And that was it. That was the drawing completed. Overall, I think it took about 7 hours to complete in total, so I was right in anticipating that this drawing was going to take a long time, but I loved working on it. I'm always happy to work on Tokyo Ghoul fan arts, and I'm so glad that I finally tried this one. Please let me know what you think of this drawing in the comments below, and if you have any suggestions for future drawings or paintings or any fan art, fantasy art or any tutorials, please let me know in the comments below. Any suggestions are hugely appreciated. If you want to see more videos like this, then make sure you're subscribed, and any likes or shares on this video, they really mean a lot to me. If you'd like to follow my progress and keep updated with all of the things I work on through the week, then be sure to check out the links in the description box below to check out my Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And once again, thank you so much for the support, and thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll see you all soon.